don't know what that is. In this lesson we're going to talk about bending the balloon. In order to learn how to bend the balloon, you have to understand the balloon. When you inflate the balloon, it goes in a straight line. And that's simply because the resistance is equal all around the balloon. So the air goes up or it goes down. It's the path of least resistance. So therefore naturally causing a straight line. Now if the walls were uneven in its resistance, then the air would take a different path. It's going to go whichever resists the least. So if I want to bend the balloon at 90 degrees right there, it's pushing out on this wall, but it's not pushing on the inner wall. So all you have to do is weaken the outer wall just with a little twist. You don't go in too deep. And see how the air fills that up and expands out? And then the air takes a different path and it follows the resistance, you see? And so once you understand that, then you know all you have to do is just bend the balloon and twist the outer wall. Now if you go in too deep, you're going to weaken the whole thing. You don't want to do that. You only want to weaken the outer wall, and then you got nice little bends and you can make that balloon go any direction you want and quickly, see? Just a little stairway there. Anything you want to do. And that's how you bend the balloon. It's fast and simple. Okay, let's talk about inflating the balloon in a curlicue style. That's when you wrap it around your finger and inflate the balloon to where it goes around in circles. This is very hard to do if you're not good at inflating the balloon. It takes a lot of lung power to be able to do this. And this is one of the reasons that I never use a pump, is because I like having that kind of control over the balloons a lot easier. So, take your forefinger and the next finger out like that and your thumb like a gun. Take the end of the balloon, clamp it nice and flat in your fingers like that, okay? And now take the balloon, go around twice. 1 and 2. Like that. And then take your fingers and turn them like that, and then you get that extra twist. Now when you do that, make sure the balloon is perfectly flat. If you have any kind of a twist in the balloon, then you're going to have a really hard time, and it probably won't blow up all the way. So take your time with it. Remember, flat like this in your thumb and your finger. Take 2 fingers, wrap it around once, and work outwards. Wind it outwards, don't wind it inwards. Okay? 1, and then 2, and then turn your hand to get the extra twist. Then just blow, baby, blow. There you go. Now just leave a little bit. Now you've got a nice curlicue there, but the key is to let the air out and do it twice. If you want, every time you do it, it's going to get a little tighter because the balloon is getting weaker and weaker in certain parts of its wall, and it allows it to bend even more. So once you go 1, 2, and then you'll see it's easier to blow up too because the balloon is already weak. So each time you do it, it's a little easier to do. Now let's do it a 3rd time, and now that the balloon is stretched out, I can go around my finger more than twice. I would suggest though when you first start to only wind it around twice. But the biggest thing I can tell you about the curlicue, is make sure you wind it flat on your fingers. Take your time with the wind, get it perfectly flat. Even a half twist will end up buckling up on you and you'll have a hard time completing this move. Okay? Now we're going to make what I call a swan head. I call it a swan head because it's a way to form the end of the balloon to where it looks like that of a bird or a penguin or a swan. Okay, so let's make a swan right now. I blow up the balloon where it's got maybe a 3-inch tail on it, tie it off. Now, you might think to yourself, that's a little long of a beak for a swan head, because we know a swan doesn't look like that. It's going to be this, of course. So we're going to work the balloon in reverse. Now, when you work a balloon in reverse, if you've got it tied off with no tail on it, then you have nowhere for the air to go, and you're not going to get a lot of twists out of the balloon. You might get 2 or 3. So the key is here is to make the balloon a little softer, push the air outwards, and to the length that you need for the swan's head. So take the balloon, take the first part of the balloon, put it against your arm like that, the whole length of your arm, hold the rest, and now take it and give it a nice big hug like that. And boom, you can see how I can get almost another inch off there. And now the balloon is still fairly even. It's a little bumpy, but it'll still be okay. And there we have a little less of a beak for our swan and a lot softer balloon to get more twists, okay? So we have the swan's head right here. Let's make his neck. So there's the neck and there's the beak. And let's do two wings, simple wings. And then we got the rest of the body. And all we're going to do is fold twist the body with a little ball on the end like this. Now, we have the body, we have the wings, and we have the neck of the swan. So take the body, fold it upwards inside the wings like this. Don't all the way through, just kind of in an angle. And now the wings are coming upwards, the body's going down, the bubble is facing downwards. And now you take the neck of the swan and bend it backwards in between these two. That way it angles it back, and there you have the swan's body and the swan's neck. All you have to do now is create the beak. Now, to do a bird beak is very simple. All you have to do is take your thumb, pull down on the beak without bending. You don't want to bend anything. You want whatever pulls down easy and naturally, it just falls right over. Then, take your balloon and give it a quick squeeze and force that air up into that part. So it looks like this. Watch. Well, let's do it one more time. Take that beak, fold it down, boom. When I let go, now look at that little ball that formed at the top there. It even creates a little bit of a neck there. Now, I take it, bend it back into that body like I told you before, and voila. Now you can do a little finger forming too. And there you have a swan with its little head there. So once again, you just take the beak, fold it gently down and pop air into the top, and it will do its own natural little bend there. It's a great technique when you make hummingbirds or penguins or anything like that. Enjoy. Let us now do the elephant's trunk. The elephant's trunk took me a long time to learn how to do when I first started doing balloon art. It takes a good lung power, good technique. But if you don't want to learn that, then here's a simple way to do an elephant's trunk. It's what I call rolling and unrolling. All you have to do is take maybe 3 little bubbles like this. 1, 2, 3, and then a big bubble for the head of the elephant. Okay? Now, once you lock it there, once you twist it there, then you let go of your first 3 twists. And what that does, that weakens the balloon right there. It also kind of gives it the shape of an elephant. Now let's do 2 little fold twists for the elephant's ears. Okay? Now, see those lines there? That's where you rolled it and then you unrolled it. So the biggest bubble is at the end there. So now you're able to squeeze the end of the balloon, force the air into the first part, and since the balloon is weaker, because you did that rolling and unrolling, you can actually form the elephant's trunk there. See? So it's just 1, 2, 3 little bubbles in a row, and then a bigger bubble, and then you just squeeze it, even it out the tip, forcing all the air into the head of the elephant, and it will remain. And there you have a nice simple elephant's trunk. And that's how you do that. Now we're going to do the more difficult elephant's trunk. This is the method I learned 30 years ago when I first took up balloon art. The simple method 80% of the time works pretty good. I managed to get a pretty good elephant nose out of that, and if I knew that in the beginning, maybe I would have never learned the more difficult method. But anyway, I'm going to show you because I still use the difficult method because sometimes I get fantastic results. So it all matters how well you do it. Okay, let's blow up the balloon. About the length for a wiener dog, leaving behind the tail, about there. I'm going to let all the air out to weaken the balloon. I need the balloon to be weak for this. Now once I've done that, I blow a little bubble to start with. Just a little bubble, not a lot. Then I keep my fingers there underneath the bubble on this hand. I keep my fingers there because when I continue inflating the balloon below my fingers, I do not want it to inflate between my fingers. So I keep the pressure there but let the air pass through so that way the rest of the balloon will inflate. Now since the balloon is stretched out, it shouldn't be too hard to do. Now watch. I go back to the length that I originally blew it up, and now I've got my fingers holding the neck of that balloon. See there? Now if I let go with these fingers, the air will rush in and fill that up and I will lose my effect. So what I have to do is I have to stretch it or keep pressure. So I'm going to put the balloon in between my legs. I'm sitting down right now, so I got it right down between my knees. And I'm going to pull upwards on the balloon, and now I can let go because you can see since I'm pulling upwards, the air won't fill that up. Then all I have to do is tie it off, but I can't let the pressure off. I have to keep pulling the balloon even while I'm tying it. Then I take it, put it in my teeth. So I'm pulling on the balloon, see? Like that. I can't let go yet until I twist off his head. Now, once I've twisted off his head, then the air is trapped, it can't increase, and we're good to go. Now let's finish making the elephant. We got one elephant ear, the other elephant ear, two little fold twists for his ears, and of course the neck of the elephant, the front legs, and of course the back legs. There we go. And there you have it. Now, we're ready to finish off the elephant's trunk there. All you have to do is to squeeze on that little ball, and it will even out the whole area, make the trunk, and it force the air into the head, and it actually comes out really easy. Watch. I just squeeze out a little ball, level it out in my hands, just make it nice and even, just keep working it, forcing that air up into his head. And there we have the elephant's trunk, see? Not quite, a little bit of a bubble at the bottom there. Anyway, sometimes I get sensational results, sometimes I get average results, but it's a nice way to taper the balloon, see? And anyway, you can choose which method you like, and sometimes I'm just hard on myself.